This is Deborah Atkinson, and you're listening to Flipping 50, where I address your top questions and the things you struggle with most so you can have more energy and less decision fatigue about what to eat, how to move, and you can change your thoughts to flip 50 with the life and the energy you love in this second half. And today is going to be a little bit fun and definitely a little bit different. My guest today, Kim Acedo, works exclusively with women in midlife, just like you, who've been putting their health and self-care on the back burner for most of their lives. Now in their midlife years say, it's my turn to take care of me. Through her virtual coaching programs, Kim empowers her clients to build confidence, resilience, hope, self-motivation, and make lasting changes to their health and well-being. She partners with her clients to get unstuck and discover goals and strategies based on their core values and motivators in order to bring about the healthy lifestyle they desire. Kim has a master's degree in kinesiology. You can already tell she and I have a little in common, with an emphasis in exercise science, and is a certified health and wellness coach through Wellcoaches School of Coaching. Kim and I are going to have a conversation, and we basically are just going to let you eavesdrop on us. Kim was a personal trainer for 15 years. Most of her clients were women in midlife before becoming a virtual health and self-care coach. So she and I have a lot in common. She doesn't prescribe exercise to her current clients. In fact, she doesn't prescribe anything to her clients like she did when she was a trainer, like meal plans, workouts. Unlike me, who still very actively does and coaches other fitness experts how to work more deeply with their clients, both exercise and coaching. We both have roots in the physical and recognize that above the shoulders conditioning we do, what I call the most important 6 inches to get in shape, those between the ears is the most important part and start of change. Kim and I are going to compare and contrast our personal habits behind the scenes of coaches, if you will, and kind of a wake up to bedtime with 2 wellness coaches and fitness coach. You know, what's a healthy work day in the life like? And what are our challenges, since both of us are really in the boat rowing with you? There are things we probably, at least I can speak for myself, love about my habits, things I don't like, hate is a really strong word, about my habits and how we adapt our lives to better take care of ourselves. So I think we can both readily acknowledge that knowing science of fitness and the psychology of change, we're still very much in the boat with you. Kim, thanks so much for being here and for being willing to throw yourself under the bus with me.
Absolutely, Deborah. Sounds great. I mean, I think it's so important for, your listeners and our clients to know that, we struggle with things too, and we are constantly working on ourselves just as we hope they are too, and we're helping them do. So I'm so glad to have this conversation with you.
So good. So true too. It's like, I think sometimes what we see on social media is such a good instance. Maybe we see too many fitness professionals that, oh my gosh, they're always flawless. I am not that girl, thank goodness, maybe. But rarely, I have a day when I have a great idea. I want to share something right away. And it's like, oh my gosh, I don't have makeup on. And I was like, do I do it or do I don't? And, I think it's really interesting when you share the real you, it actually resonates, I think, so much more. So,
yeah, I totally agree. I totally agree.
What if we share what's wrong with us, right? So
okay.
I'll share what's wrong with me if you share what's wrong with you, right?
Right.
So what if we start, just to organize this in my brain and yours, a little bit like day in the life? What's your morning like? I mean, are there certain things that you do or guard around or like to do, or maybe, we can dive into what we don't like about our mornings too. But let's start with, what do you shoot for?
Well, it's taken a lot of trial and error, which is something that I tell my clients, their health progress and journey is the same way. Everybody is going to do different things in the morning. Everybody's going to have a different life, and what I do might not work for you, and what you do might not work for me. And so it's a constant trial and error process. And so what I've discovered is that if I wake up, and first of all, I'll tell you, okay, this is the first oops. I do use my phone as my alarm. So one of the things I'm going to do this year is I'm going to buy an alarm, and I'm going to keep my phone outside of the bedroom. And not because I check it in the middle of the night or anything like that, but I think just having my phone, because we can do so many things with our phones now, not just talk on the phone, but we have our email on our phone. We have social media on our phone. We have all this stuff on our phone. So it's not like, well, my work day doesn't start until I open my computer. I mean, my work day could start right when I pick up my phone. So what I'm going to do this year is actually buy an alarm so I don't have to wake up to my phone, because there's a sense of anxiety, at least for me, with my phone. And so what I've learned about myself is that if I check my email or my Facebook, which are my two kind of business places, right? That's where I conduct most of my business, as far as corresponding with clients or prospects, then I get anxious and stressed right away in the morning. And that's not the best way to start my morning. So what I actually do instead is I, use the restroom. Usually got to do that right away when I get up. And then I will just really try to slow down. I know the instinct in the past for me was to get up and go. But I'm really trying to slow down, especially this month of December, and into January, actually into this next year. I really want to slow down. And what I do is I start getting breakfast ready. I might listen to a podcast while I'm preparing breakfast. I prepare my lunch so that I don't have to prepare it, later. And what I mean by prepare it is I already have it pretty much cooked. I just kind of portion it all out. And then before I start my day, I do a little bit of reading, and then I do a little bit of writing, and then I check my email and my Facebook. So that is kind of the gist of how I start my morning. What about you?
That was so funny that you said, my phone, when I pick that up makes me a little anxious. I had that very feeling this morning. And I think subliminally, I know this. And, I always have been a writer. So I've always I'm a geek. I love yellow legal pads and like brand new pencils. So every August when kids are going back to school, I'm like, I so want to go to Target.
Right.
But I mean, that is like one of my favorite things. A dozen yellow legal pads underneath the Christmas tree would be like just great. I mean, it's like, to me, that's like possibilities. It's like ideas. So, I've always done that. And now even I still believe that that's a way to get creative juice going so much better. But you should see I've cleaned out very recently. This last few weeks, I'm using December as a detox, and I'm throwing away stuff, cleaning out closets. I've thrown away so many notes, and I realize the value of them is not like having them all to go back to again and again. It's just writing it down. That's where, the creativity comes, where an idea might grow. So it's like, I don't have to be attached to holding on to those 102 yellow legal pad pieces anymore. So, but I have taken to my keyboard simply because I've got like working files, or I've got something that later I might need to show somebody else on a Google Doc. And so what I've done is keep my browsers closed. So I won't turn anything on. So there's no disruption. And I do love to write and do all that creative work first thing, because if I don't, sometimes those moments and thoughts they're gone. They won't come again. I lose that focus in the afternoon. I can have meetings and, conversations and be totally there, but the creative thing isn't quite there and doesn't flow. But this morning, even I noticed, after about 90 minutes and a couple of hours, typical, attention span starts to wane. But I had come out for a cup of coffee, went back into my bedroom, and I had my phone with me. And after that point, I was done. I was just too distracted. And so you just nailed that so well, but totally typical. So I'm, cup of coffee, girl. So I'll have a cup, I'll come get a glass of water and then a second cup. And, that takes me about 2 hours, but I'm, really in creative mode during that time. And when my day starts like that, it's rich the rest of the day. I'm on, I've done something. I feel really good about like getting that stuff out and, and then I can move on to the next thing. So usually I try to move a little bit, get some exercise early in the day. And then I'll come back to, jumping in and doing all the email and then the stuff I likely, or I like much less, but has to be done, of course.
Yep. The red tape.
The red tape.
Yeah, I know about that.
It's not that I don't like it because, a lot of my clients know I'm communicating with them via email. And so if you're listening out there, it's not that. It's just there feels like there's always this black hole. Like you're not in control anymore, right? Because you don't know what's going to be in that box when you open it up and you can go down rabbit holes so easily online. Okay, so mid-morning into lunch. What's your day like there?
Well, I do tend to have a couple of clients in the morning. So I work from home, just in case anyone is like, well, when do you go to work? Well, I work from home. So I'm already at work, I guess, and which is interesting because of what we're talking about, where you have to separate, at least I do, I have to separate work and home because it's the same place. So anyway, I also get coffee. I forgot to tell you that I do make myself a coffee while I'm reading. And I have something next to me where I can jot down some notes, and I actually have something next to my bed where sometimes in the dark, while I'm falling asleep, I'll come up with a couple ideas or something and I'll write those down. But anyway, mid-morning, I might have a couple of clients that I'm coaching. After that, I might eat a little something, or I'm actually an afternoon exerciser. I think, especially because I tend to sit a little bit more than actually a lot more than I used to when I was a trainer. I need to exercise in the morning, and I need to exercise in the afternoon. So that's a great time for me to go and just get some movement in. And something that I've been doing differently, at least this year, is just really listening to my body. I think that has been a key. And I know that you talk a lot about this too. And, I was an athlete in college. I played college basketball and I played sports growing up my whole life, volleyball, basketball, softball. And I'm really used to intense exercise, but there are days where I am just not feeling it. And then this is where I have to ask myself, am I being lazy, or do I just need to kind of have a milder workout? Maybe even just a walk on the treadmill, right? Whereas before I'd be like, oh, that's nothing. But it really is, because, the thing about exercise is we know it's not just the physical part, right? It's the mental part. And oh my gosh, I get the best ideas when I'm moderately exercising, right? That's when we have some great ideas. And so I love the afternoon time. I'm a day person, morning person. I'm not an evening person. So these early evenings when it starts to get dark earlier, they're not really my thing. So I really try to get as much done as I can before it starts to get dark, because then I just start to, it's just not my time. So anyway, that's kind of mid-morning / afternoon for me. What about you?
So awesome. Yeah. I like to do the vigorous, more intense exercise in the morning, get it done and shower. It's always good. Because I don't know, it's like I reach this threshold. I can sit down and get started at work. And if I'm, haven't taken the time to shower or gotten away from it, it could be noon and I could be in my pajamas. I work at home too, just to clarify.
Right.
I'm not downtown in my pajamas, everybody. You got that? Okay. But Yeah. So I do like to move. I totally get what you're talking about. And yes, sitting so much more. And I know to listeners that may just sound like, what? You create all these exercise videos, but a lot of times that happens like, on a day the videographer is here, and a lot happens in a day. But, otherwise there's a lot of sitting just like anybody else, or I'll try to stand just like you do if you can stand at work. And so a little movement in the afternoon does a lot for just a wake up call. And it's an energizer as well as a physical need that it's supporting, just like you said. So true. And we could be soul sisters, because totally when it starts to get dark, I mean, I could put my jammies on and go back into my cave and it's like, okay, I'm done.
Right.
I'm solar powered.
Right.
Yeah.
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 Totally. So do you do any evening work, or do you plan at all, like seasonal changes in your day or schedule?
Well, I do. Most of my clients are in the late afternoon. I wouldn't say evening. I don't have any clients after 7, which is great because it makes for a really long day. I remember when I was a trainer, especially, my days were really long because I'd have my morning clients. I'd go to the gym and train my morning clients, and then I'd have like 4 hours off where I'd get my own workout in. I'd make sure I eat, I'd take care of business, and then I'd go back to the gym for my evening clients, and I'd get home really late. And boy, that was really tough. And so one of the great things about working from home, at least for me, is that I save a lot of energy. And that is huge for me because my clients depend on me to have good coaching skills, right? Which are to listen to them and to ask the right questions and to reflect. All of these things, I got to be listening to what's being said, but also what's not being said. I have to be attuned to those things. I can't be tired. I can't be stressed. I can't be overworked. I can't be overwhelmed. So I really, really have to pay attention to how I'm feeling, and I really have to manage my energy. So I make sure that I do that. And so I know the things that bring me energy, and I know the things that drain my energy. And I make sure, especially on a heavy coaching day, that I'm doing things that are going to bring me energy. I make sure I stay away from things or people that are going to drain my energy. So, every day is a little bit different depending on how many clients I'm coaching, and what work I have to do. But, that's a big thing. And I know that's something that you talk about too, is energy management, which I love, because we talk a lot about time management, but energy management, oh my gosh, that's huge, right?
Right. And it's really the only thing, right? I mean, how well are we going to manage time? It just keeps going, right?
Yes.
And projects expand to whatever time we give them. So you're so right. And when you said that, it's funny, but I'm always taking notes on, oh my gosh, a yellow legal pad. Okay. But seriously,
you're going to get a bunch of those for Christmas, I bet, this year.
I know, right? Yes. Keep them coming. Right. So, do you do yoga, Kim?
I do. I do yoga once a week.
Yeah.
And that is wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. I love it. And what about you?
I do. And I make a habit. I really do the best when I use listeners, viewers, fans, to keep me accountable. So when I do, say, a month challenge with my Facebook page peeps, even if it's 5 minutes every time, that helps me so much, because I need that too, and making a date with them.
Yes.
With you listeners keeps me going, because I do love it. But, like you, I generally will make time for yoga toward the end of the day. And, boy, there's that pull with, I could just not do that today and I could make supper instead. And it's just too easy. So the accountability of an outside something, I said I was going to do this, I'll follow through. If I told you, I'll be there.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. I mean,
yeah. And I do love it.
Right, yeah. Right. Yeah. I mean, most of us, especially women, I found we need outside accountability. I don't know if you read Gretchen Rubin's book, The Four Tendencies, and she talks about how we build habits, right? She's all about habits. And
Right.
most people need outside accountability. And I have no studies, behind this, but I think that we as women, we do a better job of being accountable to other people than we do to just ourselves. I mean, there are some of us who can just say, okay, I'm not going to tell anybody about this. I'm going to do it all on my own and be able to follow through on that. But I think most of us, including myself too, I know with my virtual assistant, I have to tell her I'm going to have this to you by Friday or by tomorrow. And so I want to follow through, right? I want to keep my word. And I think a big accountability for me, Deborah, is knowing that my clients are only going to grow as far as I have grown myself. Meaning, not that we grow in the same way or grow toward the same things, but the more I grow and evolve as a person and professionally, as a woman, as a health person, then I'm going to be able to pull them along with me too. So that is my accountability, I think, is when I don't feel like it, when I don't feel like going to work out, I don't feel like, whatever it is. I think about my clients and how much I just care about them and how much I appreciate them choosing me, right, to help them along their journey. And that really gets me up and going because I'm like, I want to be my best for them. And in turn, I become my best for me because they hold me accountable and then I'm able to hold them accountable too. And we pull each other along. So it's just a really healthy relationship in that way.
Yeah. What a great description, that, you want to be your best for them. And, it turns back into you looking into the mirror for yourself and becoming the best. Love that flowing description. Amazing. Super cool.
Thank you.
Okay. So we all know how important rest and sleep are as a part of, decreasing stress and helping us recover. So do you have, as it gets dark, I imagine both of us like holding up in our pajamas, as it gets dark and cold in the wintertime. I don't know if it gets cold where you are, but it definitely gets cold and snowy where I am. That makes it that much worse.
Right.
Do you have a bedtime ritual, evening ritual or routine you go through?
Well, not really. I do watch TV before I go to bed, but it doesn't hinder my sleep. If it did hinder my sleep, then I wouldn't do it. But I do need some unwind time at night. I don't know about you, but I do a lot of my professional and personal development during the day. And so by the nighttime, I kind of want to relax and just zone out. And, so my partner and I, we kind of like different things. And right now she wants to watch this, the Vietnam War, like this 18-hour PBS, like,
Okay.
and that's like, and, this, history thing, and history is just, it's not my thing. But I know I need to know about it. It'd be great for me to expand my knowledge in this area. And so, but the great thing is that I can watch it with her, but also my mind kind of goes off into other things sometimes, right? Because I lose my attention or I'm not interested in what they're talking about because everything's like black and white and there's like, it's just shooting and like screaming and all this kind of stuff, helicopters. And so I zone out from time to time, but it's okay because I come up with some really great things. And I think it's important to have some of that, where we're not just always doing, right? Sometimes we just need to be, we just need to, not always do, but be. And so the evening time is really my being time. And as far as going to bed at a certain time, it varies. I mean, it could be sometimes 9 p.m., or sometimes it'll be 10 p.m. In the summers, I'd say because it stays lighter later, I might go to bed later than 10, but I'm really not an evening person. So I would much rather like sleep from 10 to 6 or something like that. I like to get up not really early, but 6 is a great time. Anytime after 7, I feel like the sun's already been up. Like, I feel like I've lost some of my day. So, yeah, that's a part of my evening. Not too routined, but it works for me. Again, that's what works for me. So, and what about you? What's your evening look like?
I have this little study going on. It's a study of two, a study of you and me. So if we were going to like create the whole universe around us, it's so funny because we've got a lot in common.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I mean, really.
You're not watching the Vietnam War too, are you?
No,
Okay.
I'm not.
Lucky you.
I
No,
have a brother who was in Vietnam, so no, he might like to do that, but
Right.
yeah, I would not watch it with him. But that feeling that you describe of, if you get up too late, you feel like, you miss some of the day. Oh my gosh, totally. I feel like I've been robbed
Right.
or robbed myself
Right.
of part of it. And I really, I can't do it. I think I could remember maybe once in the last year that I slept, 2-6. I'm like a 4:30 in the morning kind of wake up.
Oh, that's
a little bit.
That's a little earlier than me. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not
Well,
quite
and in the winter, it's a little probably pushing, 5 or 5:30, a little bit more.
sleeping in, huh?
Summertime. Yeah,
Right.
to me that is.
Right.
But summertime, it's like sun's coming up. I want to be up, want to be out, want to go.
Yeah.
And I'm a summer girl, totally, and solar powered. But I'm probably in bed before the sun goes down sometimes in the summertime because I am that morning person. But I totally agree. It's like, oh my gosh. Okay, so now I have to ask myself, gosh, is this a wellness coach thing? that we're, like more morning people, more day people than evening people?
Well, have you always been a morning person?
Always.
Yeah.
Even in high school, in college, I was like, I was never a party girl.
Mm-hmm.
I always wanted to be in bed.
Right.
Seriously.
Yeah, I could never do an all-nighter either. I don't know about you. I could not, like some of my friends could study all night and then take the test in the morning. I could not do that. And we know that that's not the best way to retain information anyway, but I couldn't do it. And I definitely couldn't do that now.
No, and in fact, looking back, I mean, that was one of the reasons I changed my major to come to major in kinesiology, as I started in graphic design. And at the point, many moons ago in 1982, in 84, everybody in graphic design was kind of smoking and drinking and staying up all night to do projects. All of our classes were labs that took lots and lots of hours. And I was like, I don't fit in.
Right.
I'm kind of a health nut and I don't do this, I don't do that. And I don't want to do this. So that was kind of the beginning of the end of graphic design for me, in that this lifestyle is not one I'm willing to live. Mm-hmm. So super interesting. Yeah. Okay. So what about boundaries on work, weekends, vacations? I mean, do you have certain things you do to take care of yourself in that realm?
Yeah. So it's tough, to be honest, being an entrepreneur, business owner, and at the same time being a health and self-care coach. It is tough to balance the two because on one hand, I'm trying to build my business, or I'm trying to grow my business. I have business goals, I have professional goals. And then on the other hand, I have my own personal wellness goals. So, that's tough, but at the same time, it's good because I have to constantly check in with myself. I have to constantly say, how are you feeling? How are you doing? Do you need to take a break? Do you need to take a nap? I mean, I'm not a big napper, but once in a while I'll go and take a 20-minute nap and come back and I'm way more productive. So I really have to check in with myself a lot, listen to my body. As far as the weekends, I haven't always been perfect with this, which is okay, but I realize just more and more how I want to continue this because I've been doing it pretty consistently now for the past couple of months is not checking my email over the weekend, just not opening my email at all. Also, not going on Facebook in the after a certain time in the evening. I don't check my email after a certain time in the evening, nor my Facebook. My Instagram's kind of my fun. That's my kind of play, social kind of thing. But email and Facebook are where I, do a lot of business stuff. So I don't do that on the weekends. Once in a while, I might check my Facebook if I have a conversation going. But I really try not to check my email. And if I do check my email, I have to check in with myself and say, okay, do you really want to check your email right now? Is there something you're waiting for? Are you hearing back from somebody? Other than that, I really try not to do that. And also, just vacation time, taking time off is really, really important because I have to continue to work on myself, like I talked about a little bit earlier. So I have to make sure that I'm continuing to grow, meaning I continue to read and write and relax. Those are the three things that I need and that I encourage my clients to do as well. So I make time to do those things. And if I don't, then I can really feel it. I can really tell. But like I said, balancing those two, being an entrepreneur, being a business owner, there's that part of it, right? Where you have to work hard, you have to hustle, that's one of the big words, right? Hustle, you have to hustle. But at the same time, balancing that with wellness and health and self-care, it's a balancing act, and it's a constant balancing act. And some days I get it right on and other days I don't. But you wake up the next day and you say, okay, what can I learn from yesterday? If yesterday wasn't a great balanced day, and then you try again. And so that's what I do. What about you? Do you find, because you too are an entrepreneur as well as a health coach, so how do you balance the two?
Yeah, interesting story. What I try to do is very similar to you. Not necessarily, evenings, at a certain point, although I do within like 90 minutes of bed, screen time is done. I don't pick up my phone again, like after dinner. I'm just done, or when I put things away to go and do dinner, that's it. My phone I don't pick it up. And that's actually a struggle because, your family members are connecting with you via your cell phone too. So, sometimes I've turned off all notifications. So I don't see them unless I actually open my text or, click on my phone app. I don't see or hear them. And that's on purpose. So that's helpful. And then I try to go midnight to midnight over the weekend and choose, it might be Friday to Saturday or Saturday to Sunday, or rarely is it Sunday to Monday, depending on if it's a holiday, but midnight to midnight with no online. I'm not writing emails. I'm not checking emails. I'm not doing social media. It's already, it's there and scheduled, but I'm not even responsive during that point. So that's hard to do. That was easier when I was, working in it and not completely the entrepreneur. I think I've always, and you probably notice you did this too. You treated every job you ever had really as if you were, had ownership. Mm-hmm. I think entrepreneurs have that in common. They end up, they were that entrepreneurial person no matter where they were. But, you can't necessarily always walk away from it, right? So you've got to be, someone that your clients can count on. Sometimes they reach out when it's not convenient, and they need to know that that's okay. So I'm totally all right with that, but let them know that generally, there are going to be weekends when I'm not accessible. So That's probably the biggest hands off, and then because I'm not that evening person, most people probably don't want to communicate with me in the evening.
Right.
Just saying. Yeah. Yes, just not my best time. I remember very well, I was with my niece and her husband. This is several years ago. And I hadn't seen her, wasn't in touch with her really frequently, but I remember some kind of conversation where I asked her, well, what time of day do you like to do it? Like in the morning? And she said to me, well, I'm not really a morning person. And I said, oh, so like in the afternoon or like evening time you like to, well, I'm not really an evening person either, she said. And her husband is sitting there and I'm like, so I'm going, okay, well, what time of day do you like? And he it was lunchtime. Mm-hmm. I think on a holiday we're all together, and he's like, this is a pretty good time for her.
Right.
It's like the one sliver where she's good.
Right. Yeah.
So knowing yourself, I think where your best energy lies, that's great. I have another question for you, and and then as we wrap it up, I'm going to ask you the toughest question of the day, but would you call yourself an introvert or an extrovert?
I think that I'm not a real extrovert, but I tend to lean on the extrovert side. So, if I spend too much time alone, or if I don't talk to people often throughout the day, then I can feel isolated. And so in those cases, like when I don't have a heavy coaching day, I know that I might need to walk down to the coffee shop and just be around some other people, take my laptop with me, take a book with me, get some work done there just to be around some other people. So I'm not a huge extrovert. I don't like to go to parties necessarily. Networking, I mean, I've done that stuff in the past, but I don't love to mingle in that way. I'd rather have some great conversation amongst a couple of friends, but I do need to have some social interaction for sure. What about you?
Yeah, probably similar, although I describe myself a little differently. I think I'm probably a walking contradiction because I love and thrive, teaching groups of people, taught at university for 15 years and present, internationally to large groups and associations, corporations. I love to be on stage, but I'm an introvert when it comes to recharging my battery. Yeah. So, and I think, a lot of actors and actresses and people you see out in front of people actually are. So that's not unusual. But I wondered about that as far as, recharging your batteries, how you take care of yourself and draw boundaries. It's interesting. And I think if you're listening, it's interesting that Kim knew herself. And I think if you listened and agree, I know myself. And that's the important thing, is knowing, what does make you thrive and how do you recharge your batteries and, just plug back in. That's super important, as much as, the fitness and the exercise and the rest and the sleep. That's an important piece of every day too.
Yes. The most important thing, like you said, is to know yourself. And I mean, you and I are talking about our days, and this is what works for us. And I don't know about you, but I'm still figuring it out. And as my, business changes sometimes, and as my life changes, I have to adapt. And that's the great thing about aging, right? As getting older, we learn more and more about ourselves. We learn more about what we need to do, what we don't need to do, all of those things. And so as we do that, then we're better able to create a life that is going to be healthy and happy and fulfilled. And we move forward and we continue to accomplish things that are meaningful to our lives. So yeah, knowing ourselves is the most important thing. And that's why we have to have time where we don't just do, right? Where we're being, where we're writing, where we're reading, where we're just, staring off into space, and those are the times where we learn about ourselves. And they're so important.
Yeah, so agree. Yeah, and collecting data,
yes,
right?
Exactly.
Basically,
Exactly.
It's all data. If we can just interpret it, we're going to be great.
Right.
Okay, Kim, so the most difficult question of the day. Is there a question we didn't hit? Is there something you think we should have covered or I would have asked you?
Well, I wouldn't say that. I guess there's one thing that I wish I would have talked about because I think it's so important is Sundays are my preparation days. So I don't know how you do meal prep stuff, but I go grocery shopping on Sunday because this is an important part of the success of my week. So I make sure I go grocery shopping on Sundays. I get all the ingredients I need. I probably have about 10 things that I make for either like 10 recipes that I know off the top of my head. I know the ingredients. I know how many tomatoes I need. I know how many onions I need or whatever. Lunches and dinners. And so what I do is on Sundays I go shopping and then I spend, probably about 2 hours in the kitchen. I listen to a podcast or an audiobook or something like that, or a couple of them, depending on how long they are. And I'll prepare all my food for the week. And all I have to do then Monday through Friday is portion out everything. So basically I have the same thing. I eat the same thing for lunch and the same thing for dinner. The only things that I switch up are my breakfast. Every other day I do either oatmeal or I make this nut and seed loaf. So I'll switch those around Monday through Friday, but then my lunches are the same Monday through Friday, and my dinners are all the same too. So it makes it really easy. I don't have to think about it. And I don't have to prepare food every time it's time to eat. And so that really makes my life a lot easier. And I know it's going to be healthy. I know I'm going to make a good choice. I know my portions are going to be right. And most of all, I don't have to think about it. Right. So that's what I do for meal prep. And I think that was important to kind of share, ahead of time to, I don't know about you, but to get as much done as I can before the week begins. That's really helpful for me.
Yeah, great ad. Yeah, definitely. It's that preparation of food and planning. That's probably the downfall for so many of the clients that I work with. I'm sure it's probably similar for you, but it could so easily be true for us, especially I think the two of us who are not necessarily late day people. Dinner would be the challenge, as it is for many people who maybe use their willpower up.
Mm-hmm.
So, and very similar. Yeah. Either Friday or Saturday, I will do, my shopping.
Mm-hmm.
And then Sunday is typically a prep day. I do it actually live with one of my groups.
Oh, wow.
So one of
That's
my
great.
Fit You programs. We do live coaching yesterday I was slicing and dicing all my vegetables for a vegetable soup.
That's great.
Wow.
I love that.
We were talking, answering questions. I'm like, just a minute. I got to stir the garlic in here.
Yeah.
So super fun. So Kim, where can listeners get more Kim and learn more about you?
Well, you can visit my website. It has everything you could possibly know, I guess, about me there. And that is transformationwellnessforwomen.com. And then I have a Facebook page, which goes by the same name, Transformation Wellness for Women. I also have a private Facebook group that anybody can join who's a woman in midlife. And the name of that group is Health and Self-Care for Women in Midlife. So you can catch me there.
Awesome. And listeners, if you are walking, you're lifting, or you're driving, commuting, keep doing what you're doing. All of those links will be right in the show notes. So all you need to do is click on that. You'll find those at Flipping 50 say&nbsp.com/podcast. And if we missed a question for either Kim or I, or you'd like both of us to field an answer to a question, leave it below the show link for us and join us on the Flipping 50 Facebook page. To get all the juicy resources and the links mentioned to connect with Kim, just visit the show notes at flipping50.com/podcast. And if you enjoyed the show and you're listening on iTunes, please leave a rating. It really matters. And then share this with a friend. Surround yourself with a supportive community of women on the same journey. What are you waiting for? Let's start flipping 50 today.